Welcome to the Indian Gaming Association's The New Normal webcast. My name is Lisa Johnson, and I'm the conference manager for the Indian Gaming Tradeshow and Convention. I'd like to share a few housekeeping tips before we get started. Everyone is muted by default except for our speakers. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question and chat box and they'll be brought up at the end. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Victor Rocha, conference chairman of the Indian Gaming Association.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The New Normal, your go-to source for insightful discussions on tribal gaming and critical issues affecting Native American tribes across the United States. I'm Victor Rocha. My co-host is Jason Giles, the executive director of the Indian Gaming Association and a proud graduate of West Point. Today, we're talking about our annual conference, IGA 24, which will be at the Anaheim Convention Center on Monday, April 8th, 2024 through Thursday, April 11th, 2024. And more specifically, we're discussing the call for papers and our vision for the show. So welcome, everyone. So the call for papers actually goes out on Monday, Jason, since I'm talking to you. But, you know, the reason why we had this, listen, nothing's more warming than talking about conferences after you just left another 4-day conference or 5-day conference. I mean, there's nothing better than talking about the next conference. And more importantly, it's not next week or next month. It's going to be in April, so you still have time. But, you know, we want to give everybody a heads up. And more importantly, you know, what we, you know, as we've grown the show and as we've developed, you know, we're trying to be more professional about this. And you know, I think we've done a really good job, especially since the pandemic, of turning this show into a business-centric conference. You know, obviously, because it's tribal gaming, we'll have a lot of politics. You'll see stuff about courts and stuff like that. But at the core, this has become a business conference. And so, you know, we want to grow on the things that have been successful for us. And we want to help you. You know, what we didn't do and what we haven't done and what we're doing now is giving you a little more direction and letting you know what we want, where we're going, how you can create content that will align with our vision. And I think that's a big part of it. So, Jason, how are you doing, man?
Good.
Now, have you recovered from G2E?
Oh, sure. Yeah. G2Es, you know, we don't have a lot of responsibilities there now. And you can see, at G2E, you know, the emphasis seems to be more on fun and getting, you know, connections and the social stuff, all those great, events that people went to at night. I didn't go, unfortunately, but I
saw you too.
He saw you too. See, it's and you talk about that balance when you're going to a show, but especially when you're hosting a show, it's hard to remember that, you know, people are coming there to learn something and to get some information to take back and feel like that they actually didn't spend 4 days just walking around and glad handing, that they actually are taking something substantive away. And I'd like to think that, you know, I go to a lot of these shows and our show is exactly what you said. We have to balance some of the entertainment, be it golf is mostly where that is, but we focus on hard-hitting issues, gaming and legislative policy. And also on top of that, and maybe in the future it'll be different, we have a lot of organizational work to do. We have our membership meeting, potential elections, and then tribal leaders and the regional reps to Indian Gaming Association have their caucuses, their regional caucuses. So that's a lot of work in one day to get done, and then onto the trade show floor. And oh, by the way, in between all that, folks want to go to these sessions. And that's our goal, really, is to make the sessions the most attractive point of the entire trade show.
Well, you know what I mean? That didn't used to be the case. You know what I mean? I mean, if people look at what the history of this organization is, it started as an advocacy group for helping tribes in Washington, D.C., you know, Gay and all these incredible Gay Kingman tribal leaders who created this organization at a kitchen table, you know.
Right.
And it's grown from that. And, you know, we it's, I've been involved since, the end of the 90s is when I stumbled into the industry. And, it's really grown into a powerful conference, and not only because of the advocacy, which is still a very important component of what we do, but also the business. And it's always balancing that. I remember when the sessions weren't that big a priority with the membership, and it was really the membership stuff that had a priority. And I remember I would create this like great content, and I would lose my speakers to the membership stuff and speaking for tribal leaders and stuff like that. So I think a lot of what we've done is we've balanced it, to do the special events like the golf and like the luncheons. And remember, we used to have a lot more entertainment that felt very rote. This is what we're supposed to do, so we're going to do it. And people went because they were supposed to do it, but there wasn't any enthusiasm. They would rather go out socializing. And and in a way, the events, by taking away these special events, it created more network opportunities and more dinners and more lunches that had a lot more value and weight, because people are networking and doing business. So I think we've done
Right.
without patting ourselves on the back,
Mhm.
I think we've done a good job. I think we've come a long way.
Well,
And we can always get better, and we're trying to get
right.
better every year for sure.
And
you know?
we've changed our bylaws so that we don't have as much work to do at the trade show for the organization. And we really want to focus on these topics. And when I'm at G2E and I have dozens and dozens of people coming up to me, whether it's cybersecurity, disaster relief, that was a new one. These people want to come and speak about what they can offer Indian country and offer tribes. And our job is to, okay, you can come and do that, but it can't be an hour-long commercial for your business. And that was the way we used to run things, Victor. And that's why you're working hard on this now. And we brought you on because the deputy executive director and I, that was an afterthought. And it was much easier to let, some company come and talk about the newest Class 2 machine for an hour and just let them handle it. It turns out that they were just in there peddling their wares. And you get that kind of that was happening across our trade show. And that was some of the biggest complaints. Hey, I want to hear about, product XYZ to get some information on how it could help our casino. Instead, this guy's, it's a sales pitch for an hour. You feel
Listen,
like
at Anaheim, I walked into a session in Anaheim, and I'm not this guy, and I'm not gonna give their name, and it was a hard session to put together, and that, God bless John James for sitting on the session. And when I walked in, this guy is out in the audience with his hands like this, and like a coaching. I live in a van by the river, you know what I mean? And he's all in a crouched, tense position talking about this, and the other guy's on the panel, and this guy's out there doing this pitch. And you see this, and everybody in the room is like, I didn't come for this. I think at this point they know they're gonna, especially they're gonna come and they're gonna learn something, and the latest technology, the latest business. And our biggest issue, and the issue I think most conferences have, is when you do submissions, you get a lot of people that want to talk about the same thing. And that's kind of where it's where you really have to come in with a hatchet sometimes instead of a scalpel, and just say, listen, sometimes it feels like these forced marriages and stuff like that, because you're gonna, when you have 10 submissions that want to talk about hacking, or 10 submissions that want to talk about digital payments, how do you turn that in? Nobody wants to listen to 10 sessions on digital payments. You know what I mean? And then when you get a couple of them that do exactly the same thing, so you have to balance that, and especially when they're good customers and they're good people in the industry. And so that's where the real conflict comes from. But I think what we did different this year as opposed to last year is that with the letter that's going to come out on Monday, it's going to be sent out, I think it has a lot more direction on what we want and how we're creating. And then also the website's going to go live Monday, and then and in the email, you go to the website, you do your submission, topics, speakers, And again, we're giving more direction. I think that'll be helpful so that, sessions carry more weight than solo presentations.
So
Associate members carry more weight than people who are from Bulgaria and have never, met a tribal member before. No offense to people from Bulgaria, but
and I
my
hate to
point
say
is if you have no, if you have no skin in the game, the way I've been saying it, then we're gonna weigh that for people who've been in the industry.
sponsors.
Yeah,
Sponsors carry a little more weight. I hate to say, we're a nonprofit and we live off of sponsorships and tribal membership dues. So, we've got to, like you said, get people with skin in the game, and then, and then we have to bite the hand that feeds us, if you will.
It's an abusive relationship for sure. I'm sure, as my kids say, it's toxic. That's what my boy, when he's playing his Roblox and stuff, he starts telling me, and so it's not that.
Victor,
go ahead, Jason.
So for the folks on this call, let's just tell them, since they joined in, this will go live at which website? At Indian Gaming Tradeshow.com. Yeah.
It will go live. Yes, it will go live on Indian Gaming Tradeshow.com.
On Monday.
Yes, on Monday.
And we will be sending out a mass email to, I guess, all the vendors and associate members of IGA.
If you're on our mailing list, if you get if you got this email for this call, then you will be on it.
Yeah. So the folks here today, should know. And if you already have a panel or a suggestion in mind, it should be easy to whip out and get right back to you. And the other thing is, Victor, we generally have 9 to 10 categories, and
we have 9 this year. We have
9 this year. So
yeah, I'm trying to keep it down. I wanted to do 8, but it just 9 felt right. Like I'm not missing anything. There's enough play in there to cover every topic.
And for folks that, want to come and talk and feel like they have something to share or something to provide to Indian country, it's worth just looking down those 9 topics as well and reading the description, because something might trigger something else, like, oh, hey, okay, I don't care about, I notice, okay, the vast majority of the commercial and the folks actually involved in gambling, when you start talking legislative and policy, like I'm paid to do, you can just see like, that's a bunch of, it doesn't affect my business on a day-to-day issue. It doesn't. But if you did read that and look at that, you might notice that, okay, tribes get, a lot of money from the federal government through treaties and everything else, but, shutdowns are important. And if there are tribal shutdowns, what happens? And maybe you just listen to that for a minute. And like this lady who approached us, she's a disaster relief company out of the blue. Last time there was a government shutdown, there was a huge snowstorm, and a whole bunch of tribes were literally trapped because the National Park Service was furloughed. A lot of the BIA workers were furloughed, and they couldn't get off the reservation. And this was mostly in New Mexico and Arizona, where they don't get a lot of snow in the middle of the desert, enough to stop 4-wheel vehicles. So, you can just think about other ways that you may help, or you might have something to offer another company that's out there trying to give something to any country. And, it's all ends up being a little bit interconnected. And that's why I really encourage people to, when you come to our show, I think the benefit of coming to our show versus a G2E is, obviously, Victor, like you just said, we're not afraid to take on the hard issues. If we need to take on commercial gaming guys because they're submitting nasty letters to the Department of Interior on land and trust issues, then that's what we do. And we don't care that FanDuel and DraftKings are big sponsors of our show. If you're doing something that's negatively impacting Indian gaming, we're going to bring it up at our show and talk about it. We don't get that opportunity at G2E. Instead, it's like, hey, look, come listen to all these great CEOs that are doing great things. And, you end up with a win type person, often his yacht avoiding subpoenas. So, we'll take on the hard issues at our show is what I'm saying. And I think it can benefit the whole industry because we're not afraid to talk about this. And just like the interactive wagering, Victor, that's probably going to be one of the bigger topics. But what does that even mean to a lot of folks, interactive wagering? You know, there's so few people in that field with expertise. So, you know, what can we
Well, you know what,
how can we show them in an Indian country? We're not that connected like, you know, the city of Los Angeles is, or San Diego. You know, there are unique requirements for Indian tribes, and it's not just made up out of thin air, and it's not just something that Congress or the government made up. Tribes have been here for a long time, and they've been operating the way they operate. And yeah, you got to go in and deal with a council and maybe a recalcitrant governor or chief or you know, whatever they call their leaders, and that's the way it is. And that place to do that is at our trade show generally, because it's going to be awfully hard to go to 500 different tribes trying to sell your wares. You want to be on the trade show floor, and you want to be talking in front of groups of people at our show.
Yeah, yeah. You know what, Jason, I'm gonna share my notes on my Google Docs on the sessions,
Sure.
and we can talk about them.
Okay.
So we can show.
You're not going to give away too much of the game, are you?
I don't know. No.
Okay.
This is just the as you can see. So the 9 topics as you have here, as you can see, they're casino gaming operations, and as you can see, each one I did a definition, and this helps me keep true to the vision and what we're trying to put together here. And you will also see these when they're sent out on Monday. So the first one obviously is casino and gaming operations, exploration of best practices, strategies, and challenges in managing casinos and other gaming facilities effectively. Topics could include operations management, customer service, equipment maintenance, floor optimization, and going even further into that, obviously table games, you know, so there's so much more. But I wanted to give everybody a little more direction so they'll understand what we're trying to accomplish: interactive wagering, trends, technologies, operational challenges, customer engagement, sports betting, iGaming, for regulation and compliance, examination of legal framework, regulatory updates, compliance, training, audits, gaming law, marketing and player development, obviously innovations for advertising, acquisition, retention, some really good solid subjects. No guessing, so you kind of know what we want this year. Technology and innovation, digital payments, artificial intelligence, machine learning. That's where we're going to have all the AI discussions and digital payments, and also, you know, emerging trends,
Right.
which we could talk about: esports, blockchain, whatever you guys think we should be talking about. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Just for everyone on the call, again, I appreciate everyone joining us today, but emerging trends and what was the one above it, Victor?
Technology and innovation.
That technology, innovation, interactive wagering, all those 3 could be interrelated. So let's say you're somebody who wants to, you know, put a cryptocurrency ATM on the show floor or on the casino floor, and they submit a proposal to you, Victor, just so everybody knows, like, what is the best way for them to present something like that with you that could conceivably be 3 of these different subjects? How would you, you know, when we're looking at this, when you evaluate it first and foremost, and then we look at it, what is the best way for someone to get there? You know, if they touch on 3 or even 4 of these types of issues.
Yeah, you know what?
How do you read it when they submit it?
Yeah, if I had an ATM that did crypto, I think the way I would approach it, I would come in a conversation about the future of crypto. You know what I mean? About what its place as an Indian country, what's happening. I would be very honest, and I would be very wary also because of the fluctuations, the rug pulls, the hype. But there's a lot there, you know, and what I would do is I would combine it with other people that I know and trust in Indian country, so that it doesn't turn into a pitch for an ATM. Now, I think that could be part of a discussion, a larger discussion on the value of crypto and stuff like that. So that's how I approach it. and that's what I would do. I would bring in, again, people who I trust, people in finance, because I don't think that, again, I'm just so concerned with just all the hype and I mean, how many crypto videos and articles about people being ripped off do I have to read a day? I was watching one last night about the guy who hacked Silk Road, some Bitcoin thing. So,
Right.
I kind of, but there's value there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're not going to dismiss it and say, oh, it's a trend. There's value there. I think it's still in the wash. I think it's still, a lot of the bad players are being pushed out. I think a lot of the institutional, especially with the collapse, and look at, we have the FTX trial going on right now as we speak. So that would be some value to that. The tribes need to know the truth and not a pitch. So that's how I do it. Sorry, Jason. I didn't mean to filibuster.
No, I just think it's important for folks to know that you really have to delineate, at least for us, whether you're, whether you're actually marketing an actual ATM, crypto, we'll just keep using that example, cryptocurrency ATM, or whether you're somebody on the regulatory side that just is merely considering it, if you're a tribal regulator and you want to know more information about it. So there's ways to approach it. Or maybe you're that same person, you have the greatest crypto ATM ever, and you want to be legal about it and upfront about it. Maybe you explain how it fits under a regulatory environment. So, there's ways to present it so that, again, like you said, Victor, you don't scare the reviewers off right away as, oh God, this is kind of out there, or this is fraught with, scam potential.
If you have an
there's
ATM
a lot of that
does,
in the gaming world.
Crypto and cannabis, we want to talk to you. Okay.
Right.
No, I'm just joking. And by the way,
Well, see, what about a non-gaming topic like cannabis?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Listen, and look at, and that's the difference kind of between those two sessions, technology, innovation, and emerging trends. Technology and innovation is stuff that's happening now that we're doing in our casinos, that is stuff that we were talking emerging trends 5 years ago. Emerging trends are things that are on the horizon, that are happening, that are still have a potential to think, like esports. You know what I mean? It's still trying to find a place in tribal gaming. You know what I mean? I had a conversation at G2E with a gentleman from Czechoslovakia talking about esports and stuff, and about how they're huge in Asia, yet they're still trying to find its toehold in the United States. So that would be part of it. And economic impact and development, obviously, that is a very important issue to us. What do we have? How can we help the tribes become better entrepreneurs and business people, making sure that they have the correct information? So obviously, legal and tribal sovereignty, and those, we'll be talking about those ones. And then what I do is, once I get all the submissions, I step back and I look and see what is missing. What don't we have in all these submissions? And then that way we have a nice balance of submissions and important content that people might have missed. And then obviously the last one, security and surveillance, that's where we'll be talking about cybersecurity, physical security, all that good stuff. I think cybersecurity is obviously going to be the big one, especially what just happened with MGM. I hear other rumors of other tribes being hacked and people being very quiet. I am not surprised. So we will be talking about that. But I think, things like cannabis, things like non-gaming stuff, if it's a way for tribes to generate revenue, it's something that dovetails into what they're doing in business development and tribal gaming, then we're all for it. We want to hear your ideas. Right. I think the big challenge that we have, again, is people wanting to talk about the same thing. When you get a CEO of a digital payment company that wants to talk about the future of digital payments, and when you get three of those, you know what I mean? What I do, then that becomes a death cage match. 3 men enter, 1 man leaves. And I think that should be like for all digital payments. So I saw Omar working out of Sightline. He was working out. I saw him at the gym. Right. So I think he's taking it very serious. But that's kind of where we're at. I think this is a good, solid foundation for a business conference. And then also, I'm going to undo the share.
Sure.
Because I want to go with some other stuff. Oh, sorry about Julia. Sorry, Julia. I'm silly.
What about if here's another one. If when they give you their submission,
Oh, I know.
what if they include like attachments, like a PowerPoint attachment, or even some other kind of visual attachment? Is that fine?
I
mean,
don't think that's allowed with this process. You're going to
Okay,
have to
good.
submit
Just-
the text and the idea,
Okay.
and that comes down later down the road when
Mhm.
if they get accepted and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
and then what happens? Part of the process is that I will take them all and I'll put them where in the category they would belong, and then I will look and see what we have, and then if I have 3 submissions on the same thing, I'll try to put them together or create the best session out of it. Or if it's 2 issues, I'll split whatever. But then even that's no guarantee, because I really have to step back and look at what the entire track is and how everything fits together also, so we have another question. Education and economic sustainability. Hello, Tammy. That would be under emerging trends, economic development.
Mhm.
That would fit in there. I don't have, Tammy, in the business conference. That's for NCAI, for economic sustainability. But economic sustainability would be part of economic impact and development.
Mhm.
That would be where you put education and economic sustainability in a session like that. Now, Tammy, if you submitted a session that's a big pitch for the UNLV, it really would have to be great. You know what I mean? Because there's a limited amount of landscape. There's and one of my philosophies for conferences is that public speaking is currency. You know what I mean? And it has a real value, and it makes people feel heard and that they're doing their job, and it has real value at work. And when you can get on the sessions, people are really happy. So I'm trying to create as many opportunities as I can for people to speak. That's why I weigh sessions over solo presenters, because I would rather have 4 people speak than 1 people speak. Now, I do a couple presenters and stuff like that, because there is a real value in that, and especially when they're done correctly and they're done right. I mean, they're phenomenal, and a really great public speaker. So all of it has to be weighed in to see the whole thing when it's all sitting there in front of me, and then I can truly make those decisions. Consider a panel hosted by UNLV. Now, what's interesting, what we do is on the way the format has been for the last several years is on Monday is the golf tournament, and then we usually do some sessions on Monday. Usually we're calling it the master class, focusing on an issue that we could take into 3 or 4 sessions, whether it be sports betting, online gaming, something. For me, again, the other thing that I try to create a value is job creation and career track stuff. Anything that helps people move up the ladder, I'm into. Absolutely. So
Okay.
that is on Monday. Tuesday is the education sessions. The trade show floor opens on Wednesday, and then what we do, and Gary Green, my friend, is in here. We have the Tribal Leaders Lounge, where Chairman Stevens goes and he presents awards and he talks, and it's really become a phenomenal space. So we have a show within a show, so that it isn't just a trade show walking around. You can actually stop, have some tea, coffee, and listen to the entertainment, listen to the conversation. And then we have on the other side what we call the showcase stage, and that stage is specifically designed for sales presentations. And that's where you can talk your product, where you can't do it on the education session. This is all about pitching, presentations, slides, and stuff like that. I think it's becoming more and more popular, where actually people are coming and it's well attended. And I think we're learning to promote it more and give it more value. That's because I felt there was a real need for that. And I felt the education sessions, I was shutting people down and saying, listen, you can't pitch, but then to create a space where you can pitch. And with the trade show atmosphere, it fits in perfect. It's like almost like a midway or something like that at a carnival. You know what I mean? And I think we may hire some carnies this year so that we could get people over there. Come on in. So yeah.
But
The
no,
world's
I'm glad Gary, brought that up.
Well,
Because
Gary was the host last year too, and he did a phenomenal job.
great.
And and that created a very sales environment. And I think that's that's what the trade show floor is, a
Right.
sales environment. So
And certainly on where the chairman's lounge area, we did a couple hard-hitting panels last year on taxing in Indian country, and some other regulatory issues in Indian country. And it's those types of panels are tough to focus on in an environment like that where it's loud and people are coming and going. But the folks that are there, it's amazing how engaged they are. They really went out of their way to come over. So we'll keep doing that as long as we get that kind of level of engagement, Victor. It's impressive.
it's always shocking to me when these things are well attended, because in my mind's eye, everything is well attended. But and especially what we've been doing on the trade show floor, we've been getting really a lot of enthusiastic people attending and stuff like that. And I know a lot of the vendors are happy to have a place where they can pitch their wares and stuff. So I would love to expand it. You know what I mean? I think it's a great opportunity. It's better than doing it in your booth. You can do sales. And so I think at some point it's probably, people were telling me that, we should charge for it and stuff like that. But, I like giving people value for their money. And I think this is something that, again, if it keeps being better and better attended, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll charge the big guys or something. Maybe we'll get, DraftKings, they can charge those guys or something like that. But so let me see what else do I got here. Oh, okay. I got more notes over here. And and to the answer though, yes, it is being recorded. It'll be on our YouTube channel usually by the end of the week. If you go to YouTube and type in Indian Gaming Association, you'll be able to find us there. And actually, we have a lot of our old YouTube sessions are there. And the one that I did a couple weeks ago is not there because, like a big dummy, I forgot to download it, and so it's lost in the ether. Okay, let me have some.
Well, let me give everybody a quick just an easy way to get a submission in, and that's more what I do on a day-to-day basis, the legal and tribal sovereignty panel. And Victor, let's just say you're a cannabis grower or someone involved in cannabis. And let's say you really need this farm bill to pass in Congress. It's probably not going to happen this year. They can't even get a speaker going. But that farm bill has all kinds of stuff in there and grants and especially in Indian country for farmers and reimbursements, because sometimes reservation land is leased by the federal government for mostly cattle feeding, but more and more they're looking for better ways to use the land. And that's a way you could tie yourself into talking about what you do and what you offer, is hooking yourself up to a piece of legislation that is either moving in Congress or needs to move, something that's important to tribes. So if sometimes you can think outside the box a little and look at what, let's say the FCC's got a new rule coming out that I don't even know about, Federal Communications Department, go ahead and submit something like that, and we'll probably take it up, because tribes are so in need of help in stuff like that, in terms of seeing what's out there that can support a federal law or a federal program that the tribe is using. There's not a lot of, tribes mostly go it alone, and they've done a great job. But man, if somebody's got a technological device, or even just an idea of how tribes can function a little better on a regulatory side, and there's active rules and regulations being fomented, that could be from the NIGC, but again, I use that one as, just if you're a cannabis distributor and the farm bill needs to move, it's not moving, maybe I can, have a panel about it, and some folks, you would be amazed at the opportunities that open up. So that's something to think about. Don't just overlook legal and tribal sovereignty. If you're a person out there, doing your business and trying to grow your business, some of that is related, and some of that's a way to get your foot in the door in Indian country.
Yeah, and speaking of, weighted, if a proposal comes in from a tribe, that's given, a very
Right.
serious consideration, because that's kind of our job, is to make sure the tribe's voice is heard. And,
Mhm.
nobody wants to say no to a tribe,
Mhm.
So,
And then
yeah,
oftentimes the
that's
tribe just gives us a suggestion for a topic. Now we have to find some of the speakers. So
right.
there again, if you're an expert in the field, I'm telling you that the cryptocurrency one, Victor, is, just today, Bitcoin had wild fluctuations based on false rumors, but at the same time, there's a couple of hedge funds that announced that they're going to start buying and creating an infrastructure so that they can deal in cryptocurrency. And that's a big move for some of these hedge funds that just always have considered it, like what you were saying, just not
Yeah.
worth your time. It's not going to last. I still think there's big problems with the anonymity of the whole thing. And, you get groups like Hamas. Everyone's like, how did Hamas get all? They were using Bitcoin to purchase all their stuff. And, until you disassociate with those kind of bad actors, Putin as well, cryptocurrency is going to have a tough time. But I do see those 8 cryptocurrency ATMs cropping up, at the shadowy gas station here and there.
I say, you know
You
what?
see
They're all
them
at
too?
gas stations. Oh yeah, they're all at gas stations by the freeway and stuff here in California.
Yeah.
And
So
I just don't have the nerve to put my financial information into this ATM. So, but listen, those are important issues that we should
right.
be discussing, and if you are a crypto person, and look, there are a couple people who I know that I trust that are really looking at it from the tribal standpoint and how they can use it and stuff like that. So people like Marina, and Dawson, her many horses, and people who I know are legitimate. And so, and they're like-minded, you know what I mean? We're interested, but we're also very cautious because we don't want to sell the tribe's snake oil and stuff like that.
Right.
And I mean, the guy from Three Arrows was just arrested last week. One of the guys that did a rug pull and stuff like that. So, we're very concerned about that. And, but we want to find out where the truth is and where the progress is and what's happening. And I think, what happened in the collapse, I think a lot of those, obviously with the FTX, we'll find out a lot of these were bad players. And I think the financial guys are coming in and to clean it up. They see the opportunity. The decentralized currency type of thing is not going to go away. It's eventually going to be, hey,
How
we
about
have
another one, Victor?
Yeah.
While I was at G2E and also, frankly, at NCAI and our discussion with also artificial intelligence folks that are really, the fact that security and surveillance, that's one of our topics here.
Right.
We had that gentleman say they don't need 10 people watching cameras anymore. AI can just watch the cameras and look for anomalies. I mean, that is astounding. And
That's what they said in Israel, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the technology, I think, is, and by the way, I think relying on technology and technology only is, there are a lot of great stuff in there, but it's who's controlling it, who's on top of it.
Right.
I think that's
Well,
the important thing, so I think, yeah, I think absolutely. I think the technology is very amazing and we're
right.
very, very interested in it.
But you might not think that would fall under security and surveillance. But we already had somebody tell us, yeah, AI can do the job of 10 people, and AI never falls asleep and never goes to bed. And I got a 24-hour casino floor. So, stuff like that, if folks can just kind of think about that, we want to hear it all. If you're an expert in that field, we'd love to have you come in and talk to our tribal leaders, and more importantly, our tribal gaming regulatory authorities and bodies, because so much of that is interactive with the commercial side now and the state side. where regulators share so much information on bad actors or just better ways to do things to prevent bad things from happening. So,
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing with, I don't even know how to deal anymore with these, people bringing weapons into casinos, primarily, if they're going there for nightclubs and stuff, but we just getting more and more reports of people bringing weapons everywhere they go. And, it's a scary thing. And, some of these states have concealed carry laws, which, you don't even have to get a permit for anymore. So it's hard to know where to draw boundaries anymore, but we just know that we don't want people bringing guns in where they shouldn't be, especially in places where everyone's drinking and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So you know what? Again, everything is going to be going out on
Mhm.
Monday. You will be able to submit your ideas. It goes until I think we're saying January 1st. We might extend it a little bit because we're always at 2-week period in Christmas and stuff like that. It's kind of the dead zone. But
Mhm.
that's kind of what we have the session today to talk about this, so that we want to get this front and center. And if you have great ideas and if you have great speakers, we want to hear it. We want to hear
Mhm.
it. Now, again, that's why we wanted you guys, again, when this comes out, you'll see you have a little more direction. You saw my notes. That's what it'll be saying. I think that will hopefully will be helpful. Obviously, we'll be talking about sports betting. We'll be talking about hacking. We'll be talking about cannabis. We'll be talking about, security, first person shooter, human trafficking. The things that we do at IGA and the things that I'm most proud about are the things that you won't see at other conferences. We've done LGBTQ, which I'm very proud of and have been very important. So I think that, one of the big things that I noticed in Las Vegas, speaking of AI, is the lack of people getting to hire. We were at Wynn, they were talking about one of the nightclubs wasn't open because they can't get people to operate, even work in Las Vegas. So, and I know a lot of tribes are having that issue with employment. So we want to be talking about acquisition, employee retention, all that good stuff too. So whatever we can do to help the tribes become better, more efficient, and squeeze the last penny out of that dollar, then that's what we want to do. So are there any questions besides the ones we have? I think we answered them all.
Yeah.
I think we answered them all. Do you have, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I think
think
that's
so.
about it, Victor. I just wanted to give folks a good heads up on this, and we're taking it. We want to do a couple different things this year. As I said, we're trying to free up people's time on the days that we have organizational work to do, so that tribal leaders can participate more. And there'll be a lot more time on the show floor this year for the first time in forever, because we made those bylaw changes. We don't need that second day membership meeting. So
Yeah.
they're wide open.
And what that means to you guys is that actually the tribal leaders aren't holed up in a room. They'll be there on the floor, they'll be there in the
Right.
meetings. And so we've created, that what was happening was, and is that well, this is me and my bragging, but I think the content became so good. They were like upset. They were missing on this
Correct.
content. They were stuck in this room.
Correct.
So, and what I did is I quit using tribal leaders because they weren't available, and
Yeah.
because they would get yanked from my session at the last minute. It was just such a,
Mhm.
so stressful, but so that's what it means to us, to create more networking opportunities. You have the tribal leaders on the floor. This is the only trade show where we're specifically geared towards tribal gaming, tribal economic development, doing business with the tribes. And if you want to be part of our world, this is where you go. Now, kind of continuing into that, we're going to be at ICE in London also, and I'm working on that agenda. That's coming up really super quick. That is not one where we ask for submissions. We kind of created on our own. We're going to be doing some stuff with the European Casino Association, and also We have some exciting news about IGB Live North America. They were supposed to be in
New York City in
New York
December.
in December, and they've moved their show. I think I can say they're going to be working with us on our show in whenever we're April.
April 8th. Yeah.
April 8th, but we'll have another announcement for that. So I don't want to say too much, but I'm very excited about this new partnership. I think it's going to make the show better, more robust, more fully rounded, and just a better show. So I'm always into that. So again, thanks everyone. We
Thank
appreciate you guys spend some time with us. The letter will go out on Monday. And then what we'll do is we'll do another one of these real soon, and to talk about and give you guys a little more direction and a little more help so that we can all be on the same page, and there'll be less rejections and more connection, more synchronicity. So, all right, everyone. Hey, Jason, thanks so much.
Thank you, Victor.
All right,
Everyone,
brother.
you should email me or Victor. If you don't get that link, we'll send it right to you. Don't hesitate to
and we
contact
won't
us.
have you two at the Dome. I think we'll have Keith Sicola with a kaleidoscope or something like that.
Okay.
So, all right, guys. We'll see you. See you guys
See ya.
next week.
Thank
Bye.
you, Victor. Take care.